right, I'll admit it. I initially struggled to come up with an introduction for this next speaker, not because of a lack of incredibly inspiring and impressive stories, but rather because I relish the opportunity to embarrass people in front of large audiences. I was looking for that one story that would really make this next speaker feel awkward when she came up to speak. I first thought of revealing the fact that Kinyette Henderson didn't pass a single test in the 4th grade. But then I figured that her simple rebuttal would be that she skipped 4th grade to go to team to be part of the founding 5th grade class. So that story didn't work. Then I remembered in the spring of her 7th grade year, Kinyette got in trouble for being too slow to set up the stage for rock band, and she received attention. Her mother came up to school and expressed her discontent. That's it. That's the whole story. In 4 years at team, Kinyette only got in trouble once. Now she's a junior at St. George's in Rhode Island, and she's got a list of 20 colleges that she's trying to narrow down to one. Kinyette Henderson is the inspiration for many teachers to wake up at 5:30 each morning. Please welcome to the stage, Kinyette Henderson.
Hi, my name is Kinyette Henderson, and I am a founding member of the class of 2010, the very first class to attend Team Academy. I am currently a junior at St. George's School in Newport, Rhode Island, and I have traveled 4 hours today because I feel so passionately that Newark needs more schools like Team, and because I want to share with you the great opportunities the Team has given me. Last week, I had a very interesting conversation with Maria, a good friend of mine and neighbor in my dorm at school. She was explaining to me that she wants to go to Brown University for college. I replied, "Wow, Maria, that's really good. You're really aiming high." Her response was, "Well, my mom went to Cornell and my dad went to Brown, so everyone basically assumes I'm going to go to an Ivy League school." I was shocked. This statement made me think about what would be normal for Newark and for me. And as I kept thinking about the things I would put on the list as normal, I realized that college would not be a first or second item. I explained to her that college was barely an option and more of a dream for the people in my city. Now it was her turn to be shocked. She asked me why I thought that, and I was at a loss of where to begin. Finally, I said, "There's no guidance or motivation. Let me draw a picture for you of what I mean. Think about this. The young man you pass on the street, the one you barely look at, wearing the baggy jeans and oversized sweatshirt, sitting on the street in the middle of the day when he should be in class, that guy was the smartest in his 7th grade math class. He knew every single answer and never even wrote anything down." Maria interrupts and says, "Well, what's the problem? That guy could have been at a good school now and off to a great college." The problem was that he attended a school where the teachers barely knew his name. No one asked him about his life, and no one cared whether or not he had a place to sleep at night. His mom wasn't in his life, and he simply hung out with the wrong crowd. He didn't have support at home, and no one told him right from wrong. He worked so hard to get into a high school, and he was lucky enough to get a scholarship to a great one, but no one was there to push him forward, so he fell through the cracks. Maria interrupts again and asks, "How come no one is helping this boy realize how important education is?" I smiled and said, "Exactly my point. Newark is full of talented people with potential, but there is no one there to show them the path to exercise that potential in the right ways." And then the question of the night was raised. Maria threw up her hands and said, "What the heck? I can't figure out how you have all this baggage on your back from living in such a place and still turned out so well. Who helped you?" I laughed and said, "I would never trade all my baggage for the nicest things in the world. I just had to learn how to carry it." "And how did you learn to do that? Who helped you be so successful?" I took that as a great compliment, actually. "Well, that story is for another night," I said. Now, I bet you guys didn't actually expect Maria to come back for the conclusion of my story. You obviously don't know Maria. The next night, she ran into my room, Okay, I'm ready for the story. Tell me your secret to success. I turned away from her and walked over to my dresser. I opened the bottom drawer and pulled out a gray t-shirt. I held it up to Maria and said, "This is my secret." She looked at me. Team Academy. What's that? I tried to pick one word to describe team. Now, I want to challenge all of you tonight. Think of the best thing that's ever happened to you and pick one word to describe it. Exactly. Took me that long, too. I looked at the shirt and thought about the 4 years I spent at team. I began to think about the rock band practices where we played Bruce Springsteen and the Jackson 5 in the gym for hours on end. The night I stayed at team until nearly midnight with my math teacher to write my scholarship application. And a time our class didn't understand fractions, so our teacher made up a skit and brought it to life. And how can I forget the fact that I've made friends for life in middle school? So, finally, I came up with the perfect words: my salvation. Maria laughed and said, "You consider your middle school salvation? You are kidding me." So I began to break down the facts for her about team's principle, to be the change you wish to see in the world. "So you think you can change the world?" she said. And without hesitation, I said yes. I then explained the strict rules and how they were enforced to equip us with the tools for being better students and people in order to achieve that goal. Being Maria, she interrupted my explanation and said, "Okay, enough technical stuff. How did it save you?" Team gave me a hope, motivation, and goal, I answered. It gave me something to work for, which is the exact thing the young man in my earlier story was missing. It put ideas in my head, and it made me believe that I actually had a chance to achieve them. That's where the motivation kicked in. I would look outside my window at home and see the hundreds of kids who were falling into the traps of life in Newark. I wanted a better life for them. If I succeeded, then they succeeded with me. One of the many principles that team emphasizes is teamwork. And if I'm not mistaken, the team credo does say, if a teammate needs help, we give. I knew those kids needed a little push, so I wanted my story to give them hope that it's possible to change the world around you. Now, it wouldn't be a story unless Maria interrupted, of course. This time she actually raised her hand, and she said, "Why don't they just all go to team?" I told her that there were only a couple schools under the team network, and it just wasn't possible at the time. Now, this is my favorite part of the story. Maria, very flustered, said, "I don't understand why there aren't more in your city. There just needs to be more." I agree, Maria. I totally agree. As Maria and I walked our separate paths to our dorm rooms, I realized how different our life paths had been. She's upper class with a mom and dad that both have successful careers, and her goal in life is to go to Brown. It made me remember why I chose to go to boarding school, so that I could have conversations like this with people from totally different worlds. I want all kids in Newark to be able to experience this opportunity I am now living. I told Maria I wanted these kids to use my story as help, but using my story just isn't enough. Newark needs more team schools to keep promoting those very same values that motivated me to get out and assume that I too will go to one of the top colleges in the country. Newark needs guidance like Team to steer our youth in the right direction, towards a dream. I was lucky enough to have the chance to achieve, and now I want to pass my luck on to kids who need it just like I did, or who need it even more. I figured out how to carry my baggage, and now it's time for more kids in Newark to have the opportunity to learn the exact same lesson. Thank you.